Hello students, glad to be back with you again. Today also I'll be taking social science for class 9. In the last class, we have been discussing about the French Revolution, and we have already discussed the causes of the French Revolution. We have discussed about the political, the social, the intellectual, and so on. So in continuing with that, today we'll be discussing about the causes of the revolution. Now, talking about the courses, as always, in order to make it simple for you, we will divide it into 5 stages. So, in the first stage, what happened was the king, that is King Louis XVI, he called for a meeting of the Estates General on 5th May. The reason why he called for this meeting was because of financial crisis. Now, when this meeting was called, the third estates, they were feeling very excited because they hope and believe that in that meeting, they will be able to tell their king about their grievances. Now, the meeting was called, everyone had come to attend. Now, in the meeting, there was supposed to be a voting. And in those days, how they used to take voting was, each estates, they had only one vote. But this time, the third estates, they demanded that all the estates, each member should be having one vote each. So that was what they demanded, but the king, he rejected this demand, and so the third estates, they walk out from the assembly in protest. Then again on 20th June, the third estates, they again had a meeting at the Royal Tennis Court. And in this meeting, they made a promise, that is, they took an oath saying that they will not move out from that place until and unless the king gave in to their demands. And what they demanded that time was, they wanted a new constitution. And the new constitution was where they wanted to limit the powers of the king. Now, in this situation, the king was forced to give in to the demand of the people. So the king, he decided that he will give in to the demand of the people. That is, he will set up a new constitution, and the new assembly will also be set up, which will be called as the National Assembly. Now, even though the king had decided to accept the demand, on the other side, the king had already called up his soldiers to come to Paris. Now, when the common people heard about this, they got scared because now they believed that the king was trying to dissolve the National Assembly. So what they did was, everywhere there were chaos, that is in France. Everywhere people were protesting. Some were protesting against the king, some against the prices of the bread, then some against the scarcity of the bread, and so on. And what they decided to do was, again on 14 July, on 14 July, the angry mob, the crowd, they became so agitated that they decided to go and attack the prison, which is called as Bastille. Now, this Bastille, this is one of the most important prison, or we can say the biggest prison in France. And in France, all the French, they hate this prison because this prison, it symbolizes despotism. This prison, it symbolizes despotism. Now, despotism means a ruler who has lots of power, which would be same as absolute monarchy, where all the power is under the control of the king. So the angry mob, they went, they attacked the fortress, that is the prison of Bastille. The guards were killed, the prisoners were set free, and they took away all the guns and ammunition that was there in the prison. Now, because of this, the fall of Bastille, it is regarded as very, very important in the French Revolution. And the reason is, with the fall of this, that is with the fall of Bastille, now the power shifted to the hands of the common people. Now it is the common people who are leading the revolution. And with this, another thing is, now because of the king calling the soldiers, they went and they destroyed the prison of Bastille, and another incident also happened, which we call it as March on to Versailles. Now, march on to Versailles. This is a situation where the women, it was to do with the women. The women, they were so fed up with their kings because every day people were dying of hunger. There was high prices on the bread. Then on top of that, there was scarcity of bread. That means scarcity means they were not getting enough, less, okay? So because of this, the women, they decided to go on a procession. That is, they decided to go on a procession to Versailles. Why Versailles? Because that is the place where the palace is situated. So the women, they went on the procession. Now, in that procession, what happened was, it was not only the women who were there were also lots of men who were dressed as women, okay, disguised as women, and they also went along with the women. Now, once they reached Versailles, that is the palace, the guards were killed, the royal guards were killed, the palace was ransacked, okay, and the angry mob, they took the king, the queen, and the children as prisoners. So after the march on to Versailles, the king, the queen, and the children, they came back to Paris along with the women, and there they lived as prisoners. Now, with the king now becoming the prisoner, almost as a prisoner of the common people, the upper two classes, that is the clergy and the nobles, they also got scared, and now they also decided that they will give in to the demands. That is, whatever the common people were asking, the upper two classes, they also decided to do it, okay? And the best thing was, the best consequence, so to say, or the best result of that incident was, now the upper two classes, they also decided to pay tax. Before in the causes, we have discussed that it was only the third estates that they used to pay tax. The upper two classes, they don't pay tax. But now, because of all this incident, the upper two classes also, they decided that now they will also pay tax like any other people, okay? Then they also decided to give in to the demands of all those things that the common people were asking. Then because of this incident, what happened was, the common people, they confiscated, okay? They took away all the wealth of the church and they distributed it among the common people. Then they also decided to go for an act which is called as the Civil Constitution, okay? Civil Constitution. Now, this Civil Constitution, what it meant is, before if you go back to the last class, we have discussed in the social causes regarding the first class, that is the clergy. The clergy, they are the people who used to govern the church. And these people, they used to lead a luxurious life. And the reason how they were living a luxurious life was they were misusing all the tithes, all the money that the common people were paying to the church. And that was the reason why they were misusing it. So now the common people, that is the third estates, they came up with this act. That is the Civil Constitution Act or Civil Constitution of the Clergy. And in this Civil Constitution of the Clergy, what it meant is, now the clergy, okay, the clergymen, that is the bishops and all those people who are working in the church, now they are not supposed, they are not allowed to use the money that the people are paying to the church, but they will be paid a salary, okay? They will be paid a salary like any other civil servant. So that is called as the Civil Constitution of the Clergy. Then another incident is also, they came up with a new constitution. A new constitution came up, okay? New constitution was formed. It was formed in 1791. And the most important point here is, in the new constitution, now they decided, okay, the common people, they decided that they will abolish absolute monarchy and they will go for constitutional monarchy. Now, constitutional monarchy means where powers are divided between the king and people. Okay, so the most important result is they decided to go for constitutional monarchy. So constitutional monarchy means where powers are divided between the king and people. So that is the best result. Okay, it was the best result of the first state. Now there comes a time. Now we have discussed that the king, he was living as prisoners. Now what he decided to do was, okay, in 1791, okay, on the night of 21st June in 1791, the king, along with his family, they disguised themselves as common people and they were trying to escape to Austria, because the Austrian king, okay, the Austrian king is the brother of the French queen. Mary Antonia's brother is the king of Austria. So the French king, that is King Louis XVI, he thought that, or he believed that if he is able to escape to Austria, then the Austrian king will be able to help him. And so that was the reason why the king and his family, they disguised themselves as common people and they were trying to escape to Austria. But unfortunately, on the way again, they were recognized by the people and they were arrested and brought back to Paris. Now, after they were brought back, the common people, they decided to take the king to the court. Okay, so they took the king to the court, and in January 1793, the king was taken to the court, he was taken to trial, they found him as guilty, and he was publicly killed in 1793. So King Louis XVI was publicly killed in January 1793. Okay? Now, after the death of the king, again in October, in January the king was publicly killed. In October, again the same year, they again decided to execute the queen. So in October again, the queen was also executed. Now, with the death of the queen, a new incident again came up, which is called as, we call it as the Reign of Terror. Okay? Reign of Terror. Now, Reign of Terror, that is the period starting from 93 to 94. Okay? In 1793, the king and queen, both of them were executed, and with the death of the queen, a new period came up which is called as the Reign of Terror. And this Reign of Terror, it was led by Robespierre, Maximilien Robespierre. This man, his aim was, he wanted to rule over France. That was his aim. But the way he acted, okay, the way he acted was, he started killing innocent people. Thousands of innocent people were killed, and in the countryside people were killed like animals. Then everywhere people, they could not come out because they were so scared. So that era is called as the Reign of Terror. Now this man, that is Robespierre, as I've said, he decided to abolish all the churches. Okay, Christians were persecuted. He decided to close down all the church, and he declared himself as the supreme being. Okay, because as I've said, because he wanted to rule over France. But because of all these activities, okay, there were again a group of people in his own group who did not like his way, that is the way that he was operating. So in 94, that is in 1794, in his group itself, they form a coup, okay, they form a coup, and they were able to arrest him. So the people, they arrested Robespierre, he was taken into trial, and he was also assassinated. And with the death of Robespierre, the Reign of Terror also came into end. So Robespierre, he died in 1794, and with his death, the Reign of Terror also ended. Now, we come to the most important part. We call it as the legacy, okay? The legacy of the French Revolution. Here, I'll just mention some points. Now, in your textbook, it is written as legacy of the French Revolution, okay? Legacy. Now, questions are going to be twisted, so be very clear about it, okay? Now, it can be called as legacy, it can be called as effects, okay? It can also be called as result, or it can also be called as consequences. Now, you are going to appear for the board exam, so questions are going to be twisted, so be clear about this. So, in the textbook, it's written as legacy, but it can also be asked as effects. What are the effects of the French Revolution? Or what are the results of the French Revolution? Or what are the consequences of the French Revolution? But whatever it is, answers are going to be same. It meant legacy only. So, be very clear about it. Now, talking about the consequences or the legacy, here what it meant is what happened, okay? What happened to the world or what happened to France because of this French Revolution. Now, the first point is, okay, the French Revolution, it changed the entire social and political system of the world. Because of the French Revolution, it changed the entire social and political system. Then another point is, because of the French Revolution, okay, the Asian and the African countries, they were inspired to fight for their independence. They saw how the French people had fought against their king, their monarchy, and how they got their independence or how they got freed from the monarchy system. So this greatly encouraged the Asian and African people, and now they also started believing that if they can do it, if the French people can do it, then the Asian and African people can also do it. So thus they started fighting for their independence. Then another point is, now regarding the French, okay, one major point, I'll just write it here, we call it as the motto. Okay, the motto of the French Revolution, that is liberty, equality, and fraternity. So these three are called as the motto. It can be called as the motto of the French Revolution. It is also called as the watchword of the French Revolution, or sometimes it is also called as the slogan, but it meant the same thing, okay? So the motto of the French Revolution is liberty, equality, and fraternity. Liberty, where every one of us, we have certain freedom. Equality, where everyone is regarded with equal quality. Then fraternity, brotherhood. So this motto, liberty, equality, and fraternity, it really inspired the whole world, okay, all over the world. People came to believe in the motto of the French Revolution. Everyone came to believe that we need to have this, we need to have certain freedom. Everyone, all individuals, we need to have certain equality, plus all of us, we need to consider one another as brothers and sisters. So this motto also, it greatly inspired the whole world, okay? Then the most important point is the fall of feudalism. Now in the last class, we have discussed about feudalism. Feudalism, that was a policy which the French people used to follow during those centuries. Feudalism, it derived from the word fief, which means a piece of land given to someone on condition of service. So land means talking about fief. So what they used to do is, since all the land belongs to the landlord, they will give a small part of their field to the farmers. The farmers, they will cultivate that field. During harvest, they will divide the harvest into two. Half they will take it and half they used to give it to the landlord. And that system was called as feudalism. And because of this, the common people, okay, those farmers, peasants and all, they were suffering a lot. They were leading a very miserable life. And that is why now what happened was, after the French Revolution ended, Feudalism also was abolished. So now feudalism policy was no longer being practiced by the people. Okay. Then another point will be the French Revolution. Okay. The French Revolution also put into practice that sovereignty. Okay. Sovereignty comes from below and not from above. Now the reason why this idea came into being is, in the causes we have discussed that the French king, the Bourbon dynasty, they believe in divine right theory. Divine right theory means where they believe that they are answerable only to God. Only God can question them. That is what they believe in. But now, after the French Revolution ended, they came to realize, okay, that is sovereignty comes from below. It is coming, the power is coming from the people. That is what the kings are supposed to realize. And their job is, they are supposed to look after their people. It is their job to look after their people, because it is the people, it is for the people that they are there. Or it will be because of the people that they are there as the king. So this idea also came into the world. Then the French Revolution also, okay, it gave rise to, we call it as three-ism. Okay, the three-ism, that is nationalism, socialism, and liberalism. Now, nationalism means where they have a feeling of unity, where everyone get into the feeling of unity, where everyone feels that they are united. That is called as nationalism. Then liberalism means where everyone believes that we need to have certain freedom, because liberalism, the word liberalism, it derives from the Latin word liber, which means free. So liberalism means where every individuals, we are supposed to have certain freedom. Then the third ism is socialism. Socialism means where the means of production, okay, all the means of production are owned by the society. And majority, they believe in or they want socialism. They prefer socialism because in socialism, everything is under the control or shared by the common people. And in socialist society, there is not much gap, okay? There is no gap between the rich people and the poor people, because whatever the country has, it belongs to the people. So these three isms also came into the world because of the French Revolution. Now, talking about all those things, now we have come to the end. But what I want to do today is, I just want to sum it up, okay? That is, I want to sum it up in short. So these two classes, we have discussed about the French Revolution. In the last class, we have discussed about the causes. Causes also, we have divided it into political cause. Political, that is to do with the kings, how the kings live. Then in the social cause, we have discussed about the society, where the society was divided into three classes or three estates. Then we have the intellectual cause about the philosophers, how the philosophers were able to influence the people through their writings and all. Then we have also discussed about the economic cause. Then we have discussed about the part that the middle class took, where they led or they spearheaded the revolution. Then we have also discussed about the aims, the different aims of the people regarding the revolution. The peasants, they wanted to go for the French Revolution because they want to put an end to feudalism. Plus, they don't want to pay tax. Then the middle class, they decided or they prefer the French Revolution because they want equality. Then the extremists, they want the French Revolution because they want to abolish monarchy system. So all those we have discussed in the last class. Today we have discussed about the causes. There also we have discussed about how the king called a meeting, and there in the meeting, the common people, their demands were not met, so they decided to walk out in protest. Then we have discussed about how the angry women, okay, the women, They were so frustrated with the king that they decided to go on to the march on to Versailles, where they went, they ransacked the palace, okay? The royal guards were killed, and they took the king, the queen, and the children as prisoners. They brought them back to Paris. Then we have also discussed about the Third Estate, okay, forming a new assembly which came to be called as the National Assembly, where they also came up with the new constitution. And in the new constitution, we have discussed that constitutional monarchy was adopted in place of absolute monarchy. So constitutional monarchy means where powers are shared between the king and the people. So king is also there. The king also, he has some power. But on the other side, powers are also there with the people. The people also, they have their own power. And this type of constitutional monarchy, okay, this type of government is found in UK. The United Kingdom, they follow this system of government, that is constitutional monarchy. Then we have also discussed about the storming of Bastille, that is the common people. They went and they destroyed, they attacked the biggest prison in France, okay, the guards were killed, prisoners were set free, and they took away all the guns and ammunition. And because of this incident, plus because of the king becoming a prisoner of the common people, the upper two classes also, they got scared and they decided to give in to the demands of the common people. And the best part was, they also now they decided to pay tax. Okay, they will be paying tax like the common people. So all these we have discussed. Then we have also discussed about the reign of terror, where thousands of people were killed without any reason, just because of one man, that is Robespierre, because he wanted to have control over France. Then we have also discussed about the legacy, which is the most important point. So it can be called as the legacy, it is also called as the effect, okay? It can also be called as the result, or it can also be called as the consequences. So there also we have discussed about how it affected the world. It not only affected France, but the whole world came to be affected with it. Okay, it was able to inspire the Germans, the Italian, the Asian, then the African countries to fight for their independence. Then the watchword, the motto of the French Revolution, that is liberty, equality, and fraternity, it greatly inspired the people. The whole world got inspired with it. Then feudalism came to be abolished because of the French Revolution. So now no longer they are following feudalism. Then apart from that, we have also discussed that sovereignty, the idea that sovereignty comes from below and not from above. Then it also gave the idea of the three isms, that is nationalism, socialism, and liberalism. Nationalism means where we have the feeling of unity, where everyone feels that they are united. Even though they belong to different races, they may be speaking different languages, following different religion, and so on, but still then, all of them, they believe that they are one. So that is called as nationalism. And then we have liberalism, where they believe that every individuals, we are supposed to have certain freedom, because liberalism, it is derived from the Latin words liber, which means freedom. So that is to do with liberalism. Then we also have this socialism, where all the means of production are owned by the society. And as I've said, many people, they prefer this because in this type of government, the gap between the rich and the poor is very small. There is no gap, or in one way we can say, there is no gap between the rich and the poor, because whatever the country owns, it belongs to the people. So that is to do with the French Revolution. Now, I want all of you to read the textbook. Okay? You read the textbook. By any means, you have to read the textbook because you are in class 9. You are going to write board exam. Questions will be coming from anywhere in the textbook, and many a times the reason why you lose out is because you don't read the textbook. So please make a habit of reading the textbook. So now also, today we have finished the French Revolution. I request all of you to read the textbook. You go to the textbook, you underline those points which you have doubts, and once our school is open, you can ask your teachers if you have any doubts from there. So I hope I was able to make you understand some points. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe and be good.